Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Susan Lopresti, and you are listening to the Susan Lopresti Wellness Mind, Body, Soul podcast. Thank you so much for listening. My intention for this podcast is to help mature women to look and feel their very best self through alternative healing modalities with a focus on functional medicine. Through diet and lifestyle changes, you can begin to notice an improvement in health and well-being in just a few weeks. Now, with that in mind, I do want you to understand that I am not a doctor, and by all means, if you are not feeling well, my best advice to you is to see your doctor right away. My focus is to help women to make better choices in food, exercise, self-care, relationships, and so much more. I believe that knowledge is power, and I give women the tools that are needed to prevent rapid aging and decline. I will show you how to slow down the aging process to make this time of life your best years ever. So knowledge is power. And I believe that when you have the knowledge and the tools that are needed to help you to stay healthy, you already have half the battle. If you've been enjoying my podcast, please let me know, leave me a comment. And if you feel that others would benefit from listening to my podcast, please share it out with them. I would love to help as many women as possible through my podcast and my health coaching programs. Again, thank you so much for listening, and let's move on with the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Susan Lopresti, and as always, I'm so grateful that you decided to join me here today. For those of you who don't know me, I am a holistic health coach and a Reiki and meditation practitioner, and I like to work with women who are in midlife who are beginning to notice changes in how they look and how they feel. And I just help women to get back to basics and to begin to reclaim their health and their vitality that they had when they were younger. And I do this through very simple, easy healing modalities. And I just love seeing my clients to reclaim their health and the way they look and the way they feel. So today I want to talk about to stop overeating. And I think this is an important topic because a lot of the women that I just spoke about, what they don't realize is as we're aging, our metabolism begins to slow down. And if we're not paying attention to the foods that we're putting into our bodies, and if we're also not moving our bodies, it only stands to reason that we will begin to gain weight, even though we may not have changed our diet at all, but our bodies are changing. And a lot of times we don't realize that we are overeating. So I want to talk about that. And the majority of the people overeat regularly. The reason why we overeat can be grouped into three main categories. Number one, your body is confused. And what do I mean by that? We're often in a rush. We eat meals based on our commutes and our lunch breaks, and versus like when our body is actually hungry for food. Our meals are usually distracted and very mindless, and we barely take time to really appreciate the food and relish in the moment of eating. A lot of times we're working at our desk and we're eating, or we're talking on the phone and we're eating. And so we're just doing it randomly, and our body is confused and is not seeing a pattern of the way we should be eating. And then number two is that you're lacking nutrients, and the human body carefully deciphers the information it receives and uses it for future communication. In other words, if you're regularly snacking on unhealthy food when you're not physiologically hungry, this information is being handed to your body as a normal occurrence. If your snack of choice does not contain the nutrients that your body needs, your body does not know how to communicate that it needs things like essential fats and complex carbohydrates and high quality proteins. Instead, your body needs to receive these nutrients to signal the finally, I'm satisfied now feeling. And number 3 is that you're craving something other than food. And this is a really key one. And while it's possible that you are overeating due to mixed signals and poor nutrition, it's most likely that the habit stems from an emotional response. And it's not uncommon to seek comfort and pleasure in food, whether it's with a particularly stressful day, or you got into an argument with someone close to you, or you're going through some kind of a major life change. Food can be the easiest form on stress relief. And for some people, it's actually therapy for them. Food can be symbolized for special events and happy times with people that you love. And it's an easy way of treating yourself. However, the result of using food as therapy is short-lived and can actually facilitate quite a dangerous habit. And while it's okay to allow food to comfort you occasionally, you will be interrupting the body's natural stress response if you begin to rely on this regularly. What can we do to control overeating? What are the possibilities? What's out there for us? So while overeating can develop from different causes, the steps to get it under control are relatively consistent. First off, you must identify and recognize that you have an issue. And that's like with any other issue that you may have, if it's alcoholism or drug abuse, whatever it is, overeating, gambling, you have to recognize that there is an issue. And second, you must make yourself available to try different strategies to combat it. And lastly, you must be ready to take control of your life, your health, and also your happiness. So who's with me on that? Right? And up next, I want to talk about different strategies to stop overeating once and for all. So let's look at mindfulness. First, a quick background on what mindfulness is. It's a concept derived by Buddhist philosophies. It's a form of meditation focused on self-reflection. Specifically, the goals of a mindfulness practice is to gain a better understanding of one's emotions and also physical sensations and how to effectively manage them. In other words, mindfulness brings awareness and acceptance to the present moment. Research has found a strong connection between a mindfulness meditation practice and physical, psychological, and emotional health. For example, it's reported to reduce stress, compulsive behavior, and emotional reactivity. Also, there is an improvement in relaxation, in immune system response, and also empathy. While it is possible to condense this into a short description, it is nearly impossible to grasp this concept without trying it for yourself fully. Luckily, you're not required to begin a formal daily meditation practice to reap the benefits. So next, I want to discuss a specific branch of mindfulness that helps to halt overeating in a nurturing and a very forgiving way. So mindful eating 101, that's what I want to call it. Mindful eating is the process of bringing your full attention to your experiences, your cravings, your physical cues, and emotional responses while eating. Many elements compose of this practice, and some include that you want to eat slowly, remove distractions, refining communication with your body to recognize when you're truly satisfied, distinguishing between physical and emotional hunger, entertaining your senses with the details of the food, healing negative relationships that you may have with food, noticing the way individual foods make you feel, learning to appreciate your food truly. And I'm going to go over these components and more throughout this presentation today, but the ones listed above are fundamental for the practice of mindful eating. These shifts allow you to replace your negative thoughts, reactions, and habits around food with more conscious and directed responses. By restoring your attention to the present moment, eating becomes more intentional of an experience versus the automatic, thoughtless encounter that has become the standard in today's society. And that's really sad because, like I said earlier, a lot of times, especially when we're working, like we'll go into work and we sit at our computer and we have breakfast and we're eating and working at the same time, going through our emails, whatever. And then we do the same thing for lunch a lot of times. So we're not appreciating the food. We're too focused on what we're doing with work, and you really need to take the time to honor the time that you're eating. So with that in mind, I'm going to say, now let's slow your fork. The benefits of eating slower are plentiful. Some include more efficient digestion, better hydration, easier weight management, and more appreciation and enjoyment for the foods that you're eating, like I just mentioned, when you're not doing two things at once. Conversely, eating quickly on an average speed leads to poor digestion, weight gain, less satisfaction from our meals. The benefits of eating slower are plentiful. Some include efficient digestion, better hydration, easier weight management, and more appreciation and enjoyment for the foods being eaten. Like I just mentioned, if you're not working and, answering emails and eating at the same time. And conversely, eating quickly or our average speed leads to poor digestion, weight gain, and less satisfaction from our meals. In our fast-paced society, there are very little things that we take time to do slowly and intentionally. However, neglecting to slow down our eating habits gives us more than a couple of extra minutes. It also gives us a lot more extra calories. But how, you ask? It takes approximately 20 minutes from the start of eating for the brain to communicate the feel of satiety, right? So in other words, you may not even begin to sense being full until after your meal. And researchers at the University of Rhode Island examined the speed of various participants. The study concluded slow eaters consume 2 ounces of food per minute. Medium speed eaters consume approximately 2.5 ounces of food per minute. Fast eaters consume 3.1 ounces of food per minute. This difference of speed makes a huge difference cumulatively. Using this data, it can be concluded that Someone who eats fast will eat approximately 22 more ounces of food compared to those who eat slowly. And this sure does add up. Another study conducted at the University of Rhode Island calculated the number of calories consumed between different eating speeds, and the results is shocking. Women who ate quickly consumed 646 calories in 9 minutes. Women who ate slowly consumed 579 calories in 29 minutes. You heard that right. 67 fewer calories in 20 more minutes. So eating more slowly is easier said than done. That's the problem. We are faced with an abundance of choices, distractions, and pressures in our daily lives, which easily translates how we address what's on our plate. Some tips that can help you implement slower eating include putting your utensils down between bites. So cut a piece of something, put your knife down, put your fork in your mouth, put your fork down, slowly chew, cut the next piece, and you could do it like that. And that will substantially slow down how you're eating. And set a minimum number of chews per bite. And I know this sounds crazy, but also the more that you chew in your mouth, you're breaking down the food and you're creating the gastric juices to produce in your mouth, and you're helping when you swallow that food, it's already broken down from the chewing. A lot of people chew 1, 2, and they swallow. And now that food sits in your stomach and it needs to be digested and broken down. So if you're taking the time to chew fully, you're really giving yourself a better chance to fully digest your food easier. And so you won't feel so tired when you're digesting. So that's a great tip. Take smaller servings at first. Don't take a big serving and fill yourself. Take a small serving, eat that, sit with it once you're done and see how you feel. Are you full before you go for seconds? And so what happens is if your plate is so filled up, you're just eating and eating and eating, and you don't realize that, let me take a moment and see, am I full? All of these strategies help you to slow down your eating ritual. And it really should be a ritual. You know, it should be mindful. You should be appreciating the flavors and the textures and the aromas and everything. It should become a ritual to enjoy your food. And you want to minimize distraction. We are always surrounded by distraction. Here's my phone right here. Let me put it off to the side, right? Let me turn off the television. Let me turn off the electronics. Our attention is taken away from eating. We're scrolling, we're checking emails, we're doing all of that. Whenever your brain is occupied by a task, eating becomes the mindless act. And this leaves you very susceptible to missing your body's natural cues or hunger cues, and you're often overeating because you're not realizing that you're actually full. Next time you eat with distractions, ask yourself, like if you're watching television, you're watching a show and you're eating, when your plate is empty, ask yourself, did I enjoy this food? How much did I eat? Am I getting full? Am I full? Am I stuffed? Do I feel nourished or am I exhausted? If these questions are hard to answer, it's a clear indication that you're not truly paying attention to what's going on with your plate. In turn, you're not experiencing the benefits your food can provide you with. And then you want to rely on your senses. What senses come to mind when you think of food? Usually we stop at the taste and maybe the smell, but all 5 of our senses are involved in eating. So let's break them down and let's look at this. The first one is taste. And this may seem obvious, but how often do we really pay attention to the individual taste of the food that we eat? Does it taste sweet, sour, bitter, salty, savory? Can you tell what seasonings are on it? Do you like the way it tastes? So that's the first thing when you put food in your mouth is the taste of it. Well, actually, the smell of it should really be, because the smell of food is closely related to taste. And notice the smell. Does it smell fresh? Does the smell remind you of anything else? Does it bring back memories of childhood, bad memories? There are things, I mean, that, you could associate a food with a negative memory, but let's think about it in a happy way. And then what about number 3 is the look of it. So take a look at the shape, the color, the size of your food. Are the colors vibrant and alive, or are they dull? Do you think the presentation of your meal is appealing? Can you tell how it was prepared by looking at it? And do you feel that it was prepared with love, or was it just thrown together? Because in a restaurant, that's a very big thing. What's the energy behind the chef who's preparing your food? And what's the energy of the food that you prepare for yourself? I hope that everyone, when you're preparing food for yourself and your family, you're doing it from a place of love, because that energy is transferred over to the food, especially if the food is live food. So, mainly plants. And the vibrant colors, and then the feel. Pay attention to the textures that you're eating. Are they crunchy, chewy, grainy, greasy? Is it hot? Is it cold? Dry, moist, light, heavy, spicy, tasteless, right? All of those flavors, pay attention to them. And then listen, believe it or not, food makes noise when you bite into it. Is it crunchy? Is it slurpy, crispy, soupy? Are you sucking it down? Believe it or not, it all makes noise. And research has explored how many people interact with the senses of their food. Plates filled with food of strong aromas and vibrant and varied colors and a pleasant, smooth texture provided more satisfaction to the participants. This prevented overeating by feeling that they had truly had enough food the first go around. And then the next thing I want to talk about is hydrate, 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 hydrate. Did you know that the same part of your brain is responsible for communicating when you're hungry and when you're thirsty? And this explains how easily we can be confused between the two. Whenever you feel hungry, try drinking a glass of water and wait 15 minutes. Now, I have a container like this. It's filled with water and lemon and ice cubes. And I sip this. So right now it's 2:41. I'm on intermittent fasting and I haven't had anything to eat today, but I'm not hungry because I've been drinking water. So whenever you begin to feel hungry, try drinking a glass of water and wait 15 minutes. And you may be surprised to discover how satisfied you feel just by drinking that water. Even if you are hungry and not misinterpreting it for thirst, it's still beneficial to implement this practice. Drinking a glass of water before a meal starts to send a signal of feeling full to the brain before you even start to eat. So you'll be more inclined to eat less. It's a little trick. And then What about sleeping? A healthy sleep schedule is crucial for many of our body's natural processes. After all, our sleep cycle is the time for our bodies to make the necessary switch from our fight to flight sympathetic nervous system to our rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. Inadequate sleep relates to an increase in hunger signals. So this is bad, right? So we want to make sure that we're sleeping. A study published in Sleep showed that those who slept 4.5 hours a night for 4 nights in a row ate 300 more calories in snacks in one sitting versus those who got over 8 hours a night. Now, I could never survive on 4.5 hours a night. I would not be able to function. I need a good 7.5 to 8.5 hours of sleep. And I could even go to 9, but I don't do that. But I could. And it's great to have good quality sleep. And further studies have found that lack of sleep causes a rise in a chemical that has proven to cause people to overeat, specifically with foods that are high in sugar, salt, and fat. And it's important to note that the quality of your sleep is the emphasis here. Just because you've been in bed for 8.5 hours does not mean that you slept soundly and woke up rested. If you have trouble maintaining a healthy sleep routine, I want you to try out some tips to get you prepped for a good night's sleep. And I'm actually going to do a whole class on sleep. But for now, I want to encourage everyone before bedtime, at least 2 hours before bedtime, you want to limit screen time. And that includes laptops, Kindles, televisions, telephone. Limit all of that 2 hours before bedtime. And I'm also going to encourage you to take a warm Epsom salt bath. If you've never done that before, it's such a wonderful experience. You can get them, Dr. Teal's has with lavender essential oils, or if you just want to get plain and then use a high quality essential oil of your own, you could do that as well. For the evening, lavender is a wonderful way to relax. It's soothing, it's relaxing, it's calming, and it will just set you up for a good night's rest. Also, drink a cup of chamomile tea. There's never a night that I don't go by without drinking a cup of chamomile tea. Also, you may want to listen to soft music. You may want to do that while you're in your tub. You may want to have your warm bath with a cup of tea and listening to soft music. And then when you get out of your bath, you may want to cuddle up with a good book. Before you do that, you may want to rub yourself down with an oil to just get your skin fully nourished with a nice almond oil, or sesame oil is another great one, or coconut oil is wonderful, whatever oil that you use on your skin, and just get relaxed and into a comfortable position. You want to avoid alcohol, caffeine, excess sugar. You may want to also practice some relaxation techniques, such as maybe gentle yoga or some breath work or mindfulness meditation. And then, it's a common scene shortly after eating dinner that we're looking for a snack. And most people feel like this, and I'm sure it sounds familiar to you. And if it does, you could say, if you want to admit it or not, yes, it does. And although many people do report that they experience strong food cravings in the evening, it turns out that there is a decline in the activation of the neurological reward pathway, or the mechanism that allows food to satisfy us, or as we say, hit the spot. And this phenomenon is actively being studied. And yes, questions still arise on why it is happening and how to combat this tricky reaction. The best advice is really to stay busy, making after dinner plans, whether it's to meet up with a friend, begin a new book, maybe meet a friend for a walk, or join a book club, or go on a walk and listen to a podcast. Do something that's enjoyable, that is your way of experiencing joy, and that being away from the kitchen and away from snack. So you want to do something in a healthy way, and you want to make some space. You want to create some distance between you and your plate once you feel full, because it's an effective way to minimize habitual grazing. The act of putting the plate away from you, or even putting it completely away from you, tells your brain that you were done and there's no reason to continue to eat. If you put your plate out of easy reach, it takes more effort to go get more. And this effort changes the decision into an intentional one versus a mindless snacking on the leftovers that are in front of you. Do you see how that works? You know, if you put it like, that's it, I'm done. Take your plate, put it in the sink, put it in the dishwasher. You could go back to the table if you're still conversing, but you're done with your plate. Just say, excuse me for a moment. I'm just going to take my plate off the table. And this way, you don't have a plate and you're not likely to go start picking. And the same concept goes for snacks. If snacks such as candy in the office are within your reach and they're visible, it's more likely that you're just going to reach for it. You're not going to think, should I, shouldn't I? How many calories is this? Is it too much sugar? You're just going to grab it. And if these pesky treats, if they require you to go walk down the hall or to the break room, you may think twice about it, because now you got to get up and go get some. But if it's right there, you're not even thinking about it. So you may put it off. If you have to go to the break room, you may put it off and say, oh, you know what? Let me just finish what I'm doing and I'll run to the ladies' room and grab it then. And then that may never happen. You may go to the ladies' room 15 minutes later and forget all about it. And that's the end of that snack. So you want to remove the traps, right? And here are a few tips for removing the traps that encourage overeating in our lives. Order less and allow yourself seconds if needed. Use smaller plates and taller glasses, provided that in that glass is water. Play around with the colors of your dishes. Have healthy, filling foods always available, and don't eat from the package. And then also, you want your meals to be aesthetically pleasing. We seek pleasure naturally, and this can come from the foods that we eat, the things that we listen to, the view out our window. I have a beautiful view. I wish you could see it right now. The joy of good company. And that being said, we are not solely filling up the calories of the food that we eat, but the amount of joy that we experience by seeing it, smelling it, sharing it, and eating it. Taking the time to set the mood for a meal can noticeably increase the satisfaction it brings to you. Some examples of how to do this. Use your finest dishes. Don't wait for a special occasion. Use them all the time. Prepare it nicely, the food on the plate. Light a candle. Play some relaxing music. Invite your favorite people to join you for dinner. What do you do to increase the pleasure of your meals? And then I want to talk about nutritionally balanced meals. Much of the food in today's food supply unfortunately, lacks the nutrients that our bodies need. Instead, they're carefully engineered chemicals with the goals of tricking our brains to think that we are hungry. Yes, you heard that right. Most of the processed foods we eat today signals that we are hungry after eating them versus satisfied. Because of this lack of essential nutrients, you are consuming excess calories before your brain is even aware that you've eaten enough. Your brain is patiently waiting to receive the protein, the fiber, and the vitamins that you need to function properly. So each meal should be constructed with nutrients in mind. High quality proteins like meats and eggs, milk, or non-dairy products, beans and fiber featured mostly in your vegetables, and that all helps to combat overeating. Your brain receives these messages and signals the feeling of fullness more accurately and much faster versus the empty calories of the packaged snacked foods. So there's a big difference because that packaged processed food is allowing you to think that you're not full and you're eating more and more and more and you're not paying attention. And then we also have to quit skipping meals. It's a common theme that our lives are busier than our meal plans today. Maybe you woke up too late to eat breakfast, or lunchtime is stolen by extra work that needs to get done, and there's deadlines, and really there's no good excuses for missing meals, but sometimes it is out of your control. Instead, when that happens, try to plan to have something available. Have some filling snacks, maybe some nuts that will keep. And just things that you could grab at that are healthy, that aren't high in sugar. Quit skipping meals. It's a common theme that our lives are busier than our meal plans. Maybe you woke up too late to eat breakfast, or your lunchtime was stolen because you're on a work deadline, or just extra work that's going on. And these are not good excuses for missing meals, but sometimes they are out of your control. So instead, I want you to try to have a backup plan, or some foods that are on hand that are easy and nutritious for when you're in a pinch like that, when something comes up. So have some kind of filling snacks around that will allow you to avoid overeating when you do get the chance to eat. So even like if you keep a banana at your desk, or an apple at your desk, or some nuts, or some sunflower seeds, or whatever, healthy snacks that at least can get you through until you could have a decent or a healthy meal. The separation of food throughout the day leads to your body feeling it needs more than it actually does, as the results of drops in blood sugar and the release of hunger hormones, and a strong urge then to overindulge. And then next, I want to talk about stressful situations lead to the release of cortisol, or better known as our stress hormone. And it's no surprise that this hormone relays to the hunger. And although food is often seen as a quick fix for stress, it's really not a healthy habit. And it can become dangerous, and you can start packing on the pounds very easily. So instead, try practicing some of these stress management techniques when you begin to feel like you need some comfort from food. So go take a walk, even if it's around the block once or twice, or in the evening, take that warm bath that I talked about. Listen to some favorite music, start a new book, arrange some time with your loved ones, maybe You know what? I mean, this is so old-fashioned, but a board game or something like that, or play cards or chess or checkers. Do something like that with your family. If you have young kids, teach them how to play chess, checkers. Schedule a facial or a massage. Do something nice for yourself. Exercise, practice meditation. And I'm going to also put some links in the notes about the meditation that you could try. And then I want to talk about the power of accountability. So, what do I mean by that? I mean involving your family and close friends in this process because it can be beneficial to not only them, but to you as well. So the power of accountability is very strong, and you may find that sharing the experience with them helps you to savor the experience more, pay more attention to your meals together, and better avoid overindulgence. Having someone to discuss this process, share the transformation with, and rejoice in the benefits with is an incredible tool to end the overeating for good. And, that's definitely where a health coach comes in as well. When I'm holding someone accountable and we're discussing the meal plan and how did it go and how could we revise it and what worked, what didn't. Speaking to yourself is courage when you're looking to refine your body's communication. So you want to ask yourself, am I hungry? Am I satisfied? Do I need more food? What is causing me to crave more? How fast did I eat? Was I eating intentionally? Did I enjoy what I was eating? What could I have changed? Could I have changed anything? Honor your responses and adjust accordingly. Remember that it is unlikely that this change will occur overnight. However, there are many strategies that you can begin to implement immediately that will make a huge difference in your battle against overindulgence. So I just want to thank you so much for taking your time here with me today, spending your valuable time with me. So I hope that I added value to your day. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Reach out to me. You can reach me on my website, www.susanlopresti.com. Please leave your comments, leave your questions. And as always, I so appreciate you. Until the next time, be well, stay happy and healthy, and bye for now. Take good care.
If you've been enjoying my podcast, I hope you're getting to know me better and to know my style of coaching and inspiring women. And that really is the purpose of this podcast. It's to teach and inspire women in midlife and older to know that better health is achievable with the help and guidance from someone who's been where you are and has been able to overcome those symptoms to feel better now in my 60s than I ever did in my 40s. I'm offering a free 30-minute health assessment to any woman on here listening who is not happy with how they look and they feel. You could set up the call with the link. I'll put it in the show notes. Schedule this call with me, but you are under no obligation to continue any further. If after speaking, you and I feel that we are a good fit for each other and you do want to proceed with private health coaching, I am offering a 12-week program that will get you well on your way to achieving optimal wellness. So let's do that 30-minute call. You have nothing to lose.